Welcome to AJ's, where you never know who'll be walking through that door. Welcome to episode 1 of Around the Oven. Hi, I'm Mary Beth, and I'm coming to you from AJ's Lodge and Oven right here on beautiful Lake Gogebic in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I've thought about doing a podcast for quite a while because I've realized something over the years. There are a lot of stories about this place. Stories about starting a business, stories about family, stories about our guests, stories about our employees, stories about Lake Gogebic and the people who call UP home. And then there are the stories you simply couldn't make up if you tried. If you've ever owned a restaurant, worked in hospitality, lived in a small town, or just spent a Saturday night sitting at our bar, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. AJ's has become so much more than a lodge and a restaurant to us. It's been our livelihood, our home, our gathering place, and at times, one of the greatest adventures of our lives. We've celebrated some incredible moments here. We've also had days when everything that possibly could go wrong did at exactly the same time. But somehow, you open the doors again the next day. And through it all, we've met some pretty remarkable people, which brings me to my very first guest. Now, when you own a restaurant in the UP, you're always looking for good people. Cooks, bartenders, servers, housekeepers. And every once in a while, you get really lucky and find someone who can come in, take charge in the kitchen, and help you survive the craziness and the chaos. Our guest today is one of those people. But there's something a little unusual about Juanita. Because when Juanita isn't managing a kitchen, she's a psychic medium. Yes, one of our AJ's team members is also a psychic medium. And if that doesn't perfectly explain why I need to start a podcast about the people who end up at AJ's, I don't know what else does. And today, one of those people happens to be sitting with me right here. Juanita Szafranski, welcome to our very first episode.
Well, Mary, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, I have to start with the obvious question. How in the world did a psychic medium from Western New York end up working in the kitchen at AJ's Lodge and Oven on Lake Gogebic?
Well, Mary Beth, you're the one that contacted me on a missing person and found out that you're from my hometown. And we just started connecting, and then you asked me to, when you came home, to do a reading with you, and that's where it all started.
And that was about 8 years ago.
Yes, ma'am, 8 years ago. Then I showed up with my husband September, first week of September, because it was Labor Day.
Right, about 3 or 4 years ago
because
you came here.
Because the bridge was closed down.
Right, for the walk.
For the walk.
Right.
And I kept telling my husband, I says, I should bring my bathing suit because they have a pool. So Mary Beth stated that, she had us in a room, but if we wanted something else, I was drawn downstairs. Because actually I'm drawn to the water, and there was no swimming pool. Well, that room that we were in used to be a built-in swimming pool, correct?
Right. It was the only pool in Bergland, yes.
Oh, okay.
It was a pool. Now it sleeps 6.
Yes. I slept very well in there, knowing I was sleeping in an empty pool. No, it does not look like that. It looks very great, very welcoming.
Well, and so you've been back here several times since then, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Vacationing?
When spirits are connecting with me, for instance, your father, we've had Rudy come in and brought my attention to Mary and let me know when Mary needs help that I need to be up here. And one time I showed up and Mary goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "You need my help." And you ended up needing my help.
I did need your help. Mm-hmm. I'm very grateful for all your help here. So do you have, let's tell everybody, in addition to being a psychic medium, you've got some restaurant experience behind your belt.
Yes, ma'am. I used to own my own restaurant. It was called Juanita's In-N-Out Takeout. It was a taco restaurant, and my music was Jimmy Buffett, Cheeseburger in Paradise. I sold tacos, but I had to have the Buffett going on there. Yes, and also I had run a huge restaurant that held 177 customers. So we had a big, oh my gosh, we had a big kitchen. I remember when I first started managing there, I ran the whole thing, and I had the servers there, and we heard something on the top shelf, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this box come flying down, and I had my hands there, it landed in my hands, but some of all the hand wipes went the other way. So many spirits over there. I had a blast with them. Scared some of the client, I say clients, but customers and employees, because we seen spirits that went right through the wall. I come here, Mary Beth, you had some good spirits here.
Yeah, right?
And that's not talking with just having a cocktail. I'm talking about spirits, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny about the restaurant that you managed? The restaurant that you managed back in Newfane.
Yes.
Ironically, was like almost right across the street from where my grandmother and my Uncle Harry lived.
It was a 2-minute walk, if that.
Yeah, I know. So that was just really, everything's really crossed in our path.
Right. And that was meant for a reason.
And it's been a great friendship.
Yes.
And it's great to have you here. You
and
came
a long
here.
journey.
I wish it wasn't so far from New York to here. It's 12 hours.
Right.
But you came here last year when Jimmy went with his family to Puerto Vallarta.
Yes.
You came for the whole month?
Yes.
So what do you enjoy most about working with the AJ's team?
I love putting positive vibes with AJ's team. I love meeting new students that she brings in.
Yeah.
My best, I had to say, though, was Nico's team. You and Lola and Christina. They're beautiful, beautiful.
Nico, Lola, and Catalina.
Catalina. I'm sorry, I cut that up. Catalina.
Yes.
Yes.
They were from Argentina. What a great crew they were.
Oh, my gosh. I remember standing there with Nico, and we were making heart-shaped pizzas. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. The heart-shaped pizzas. And I kept looking. I said, I got a twin flame with you, Nico. He's going, what? I says, are you a twin? He goes, yes. And I says, oh, my goodness.
We never knew that.
No.
It's crazy. Well, be truthful, Juanita. Did your psychabilities warn you what you were getting into before you agreed to work in our kitchen?
Yes, I always follow my gut. But I love challenges.
Yeah, well, we are certainly a big challenge. And you know what? We love having you here.
And I love being here.
Yeah. You know what? You bring so much, to our team, and everybody looks forward to it. And it's just great to have you here. I wish you could be here all the time. But let's get into the other side of your life, because psychic medium isn't exactly something you hear on the average kitchen worker's resume. When did you first realize that you experienced things differently from other people?
When I was 12.
Really?
I've noticed some changes, but I didn't understand them until my mother took me to the Van Horn Mansion when they bought this psychic in from New York City, and they did a seance, and he was telling me about my life and what I was going to be doing and how strong I was going to be.
Wow. Is there a particular experience that made you realize that this was real for you?
Yes.
What was that?
It was, I want to say it was when the cops were looking for someone, and I just had a vision what they'd be at, and I just wrote it down. That's all I did. I just had to write stuff down to make sure I was right, and that's how I followed everything.
Wow. Did your family, do they understand it?
Yes, they understand it. They all have the energies, that kind of abilities, but they choose not to use it, and I try not to use it on my family. But I'll give you a good funny one. I was driving to Virginia one day, and I had to call my baby sister, and I said, is everything okay? She goes, yeah, what's up? And I said, what are you doing? She goes, me and Beth are going to walk the hill. They lived in Morongo Valley at the time, and I said, okay. I said, just watch your knee. Well, I said, a few hours later, I got a call from my baby sister screaming at me. She blew her knee out. She busted up, yeah. She messed it up. And I warned her. So I try to stay back on stuff, but I can't. I chuckle, and call it a day.
Right?
I have to, you know.
Well, for someone listening who's never met a medium and maybe isn't even sure that they believe in mediums, what actually happens for you? Do you see something? Do you hear something or feel it?
Well, I'm an evidential psychic medium. And, it's like a dog that can pick up scent. I pick up energies. I'm like a phlebotomist. I could be the x-ray. I can do everything, and I feel them out. I can taste things. I can look at a photo and I know what's wrong with that person. It's just like when somebody's missing. I'll ask the law enforcement or the family member, whoever's calling me to help out. And I just say one thing about that person. As long as I'm right, I know I'm going to help out and I can connect.
Wow. Can you turn it off at all?
I can, yes. There's times when I had to go to church to get some help from the priest, just to get my energies back where they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And then I'd walk barefoot in the ground at the Fatima shrines, and I get myself balanced right back out. Mm-hmm. And the last time I did that, I sat down and just started looking under my shoe, and I found 3 baby feathers stuck on my shoe, letting me know, my loved ones were with me, which were the little ones.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Are there any misconceptions about psychics that just drive you crazy?
As in, what do you mean?
Well, people think, fortune tellers,
Yeah, you have skeptics. What can you do about that either, But
I think you saw a few skeptics last night, right?
Yeah, what is that called? 2 guys?
Two fat guys.
Two fat guys.
Yeah.
Yes, now that was interesting. That was drawn to the windows, so I had taken a picture.
Well, okay, so what happened was last night we left AJ's and we decided to go out for a bit, and we were led down to Marinesco where we went to 2 fat guys, and we walked in and you met Jody,
mm-hmm.
who already knew who you were, right?
Yes.
And then a whole bar full of people that were skeptics.
Oh, yes, all those guys. I had a blast with them, though.
Yeah. Do you think that by the end of the night last night that they were believers?
Well, let's just say the big guy was crying. The son said he's never seen that before off him. And let's just say that skeptic that wanted me to read him, I waited to the very end, and he came next to me, and I slammed him. But that's going to be continued because there's a lot going on in that place, especially the one that had just passed away, and there was some validation. But when he said his name loud out there in front of Jody in that back room, man, she...
Yeah, you think Jody's a believer?
Oh, I don't think she wanted to go to sleep last night.
No, I don't
Especially what she saw in the window when I showed her on the photo,
So, you've been involved for searches for missing people, and you actually work with the FBI and local law enforcement. How did that start out?
We had a missing person, and I talked to the family, but they wanted me to talk to an investigator. So how that went, I had called Investigator Wick, and I explained who I was, and I explained that him or somebody next to him had some issues, and he just took it as is. But I was telling him, how his desk was like, you're sitting here and like I'm facing your partner, okay? Well, I get a call the next day because he was doing a meeting with some of the guys, and he mentioned my name and what I said. And he goes, nobody said anything until he got up in line to get a coffee. He goes, she's talking about me. It was his partner, and they actually sit in front of each other. So that's how I got the attention with them, and it just flourished. It just flourished, and then there was a bank robbery in Newfane. And I had asked Wick, I says, y'all done with what you had to do down there? And he said, yes. And I says, okay, you mind if I go do mine now? And he goes, yes. And all I do is just walk around to pick up the energies. Okay, I'm sure I know who did this, but I just got to get my stuff straightened out. So I told Investigator Wick I was getting a white vehicle. I get a male and a female. I keep getting Buffalo or Buffalo Avenue. I says, I was not sure. And I says, I get the letters JW. I said, now that's going to be past life experience with me because, be honest with you, I went to jail because I was sticking up for myself. A guy put his hand down my shirt, and I beat him up pretty good. And I did some time for it. The cops knew that I should have never been in there, but my experience, I wanted to experience it anyways. So I took that experience to that, and I put JW in there. I said, like James Williams. And then the investigator's name is John Wick. My name is Juanita Wheeler. So all these JWs were going into play. And so I left it that way. And I said, because I felt like the car was borrowed. And it was a few days later, I seen Investigator Wick coming out with a half gallon of vanilla ice cream out of Crosby's. And I say, hey, Wick, I says, there's going to be another bank robbery. He goes, what? I said, I see a buffalo upside down. And he's looking at me. I said, well, Washburn Street's an Indian name. And I said, there's a bank down the road, a couple blocks. I said, he's going to do it again. This time he's going to get caught. Well, the bank got robbed. I'd say not even 3 days later.
Crazy.
Okay, and now that the FBI and all them there, how you doing that? That's what, who was it, Captain Palumbo noticed me. I just kept driving. I said, oh, they got this case. You know, I'm not even going to bother. He was upset because I never came to help him with that case, you know. But I felt he had it done. So anyways, it wasn't until a few months later, I went to my girlfriend's house. She goes, Anita, I go, what? She goes, the FBI was at my office. I says, she read, she's the accountant for a cab company. And I said, yeah. She goes, well, they arrested one of our guys. For what? A bank robbery. I'm like, no way. There's the borrowed car. I said, what kind of vehicle? What color? What color? She goes, a white one. And I said, okay, because I wouldn't tell her what I was doing. I said, well, you know, how'd they figure it was him? All she said to me was that they wanted some paperwork on the time he was supposed to pick up this female and the time he was gone. Well, he was lacking 45 minutes. And I said, well, where was he supposed to pick her up? Where did he take her? Because she goes, he had to pick her up at Buffalo Avenue to take her to Buffalo to a meth clinic. And his name's Williams, and his father's name is James Williams. That was the guy I beat up.
So that was the first. Oh my goodness.
That was a big one. Wow.
Yeah. And you have a book out now.
Yes, I have. A friend of mine, Ann Arms, wrote a book about me. But I still want to put one out for myself.
Well, maybe we'll have to work on that.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. And so have all these experiences, have they changed you?
Yes. They made me look at life from a different perspective. You know, I've seen a lot of good, bad, and ugly, but I realize I'm here for a reason, to help.
Oh, I think you're here for a reason, to help us too. So we're really glad to have you back here at AJ's.
Yes.
You know, and
I'm also here, I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm also here for Jimmy.
Oh boy, that leads me to my next question. You know, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while you've been here?
Jimmy. learn how to cope with Jimmy, and Jimmy's a good guy. You know, he's just loud, and people don't understand. You know, he's just loud, but you know, you got to feed him too. You know, but Jimmy can make me laugh. Okay, Anita, what spirit's here now? Do I got a sage? Yes, Jim, we got a sage, Jim. Yeah, Jim. What do you want me to sage right now, Jim? Because I'm gonna make you feel better.
Right.
Good man, though. I love Jim. I love you. You know, everybody likes each other. Your team changes only because of the seasons and this. You know, you bring the foreign students in. I love how you do that. I love interacting with new ones because I like to understand their culture at the same time. You know. But, you know, it's just that when I'm walking the kitchen or I'm doing something, if I got to say something, when I told Ying about this frog on her, I thought she was going to go out the door because she just told her mother how scared she was of a frog and that she dreamt one, and you're telling me there's one on me.
Well, you know, what was funny was the other day when you first got here and we were talking about Jim. Mm-hmm. And managing Jim. It was like, you understand it how it goes. You got to feed the bear. Yes. Right, we had to feed him when we put him down for a nap, and then we let him in the kitchen, and he rocks and rolls.
He rocks it, you know, and he's good what he does. I love how his presentations are, you know. He does beautiful work on his food. He wants to make sure the customer's getting what they want with a twist.
Well, and so it's really nice having you here because you have a good way about you with him and just bringing everybody down.
That's what you call balancing it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we really appreciate it. And I want to finish up here with some rapid fire questions. I don't want you to think about the answers. Let's just answer. Okay. Harder to communicate with, spirits or cooks?
Spirits.
Spirits are harder to communicate with?
Yeah, they communicate because what they're doing with the cooks. Okay, they're telling me doing one thing, and I got to understand what they're doing. But the spirits tell me we got to do another way. Then I get the cooks going with me, and
And the spirits don't always tell you something directly. Sometimes it's a picture or an image.
Yes.
And you kind of got to put it all together.
Yes.
What's more unpredictable, the spirit world or a Saturday night dinner rush?
Let's say a little both, because the dinner rush can be very interesting with me, because if I'm out there putting out that food, to the customers, I can stop in mid-track, and there's a customer that has a spirit's got my attention. I had to let that customer know,
It's like, where's Juanita? Oh, she's just doing a session out on the floor.
Or that time when you had a customer come in, I'll never forget it. That guy was walking right towards me, and I had this spirit coming in, and I'm yelling at him, "Your mother told me no more white bread." And I didn't even know the guy, and the guy knew you, and he goes, he had a dream about his mother a month prior and screaming at him about the white bread. He said he mentioned that to you,
Yes,
and I'm like,
he
oh
did.
my gosh.
Okay, another question. What's more likely to cause trouble, a ghost or a bartender?
Oh, the ghost. They're very playful over here. I like the energies of the spirits that are here
Yeah.
as well.
Can you tell when a customer's about to send their food back before they actually do?
Yes. My gut's already telling me, fix it.
Have you ever looked at our ticket rail and wanted to ask the spirits for help?
Plenty of times. Especially when I couldn't find my glasses and I'm looking for Jim's.
Jim can't do anything without his glasses.
Exactly.
And any guesses, right? Oh.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So does a psychic make managing employees easier or more difficult?
I feel like it's easier. And another thing on that note with employees, you know how some like to call in but they're not sick. I'm already ahead of the game. I had one that called in when I worked at Harper's, and the girl's going, I think he's faking it. And I said, well, I'm feeling this off. Well, that's what he said. And I said, then he's sick.
Right? Mm-hmm. Our own HR
You can't mess with me,
Well, before we wrap up here, I want to ask you something a little bit more meaningful. You've spent enough time with us that you're not just somebody who works here. You've become part of the AJ's family and part of our family. What has your time here meant to you?
The time that meant here with me, my gosh, I have a lot of love here. I have a lot of positive here. I just want to keep growing with it, if you understand where I'm coming from.
We're trying.
There's a lot. Just like, there's always something new coming up. But everybody has challenges. The lake lets me know what's going on, And this lake, everybody needs to start paying mind to themselves and their own stuff. Put out positive vibes and start, don't put out negative. Because it's just going to come back at you, full force. I always say full steam ahead, keep moving. I love the family, and that's why I'm here.
Well, we love you too, so thank you very much. And I don't know how we're going to top having a psychic medium who also happens to be one of our kitchen team members as a guest on episode 1. But somehow, knowing AJ's, I'm pretty sure we'll find a way. Juanita, thank you for sitting down with me. And more importantly, thank you for everything you've done for us and for being part of our AJ's family. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us for our very first episode. That's what I want this podcast to be about. AJ's, but also Lake Gogebic, the UP, hospitality, running a small business.
It has a lot to offer. We have a lot to offer.
And everybody has a story.
Yeah, everybody has a story. And the best part is when Mary Beth announces me, other people come in looking.
Right, they do.
Yes.
Yes. And you never truly know who's going to come walking through the doors.
Right, and I'm always here if they want a session,
Right. You know what? You're going to be here throughout the weekend.
Yes.
You're going to be here till you have to tell me you have to go home. Okay? So if anyone's interested in a session, what they can do is they can find you on Facebook. Juanita Szafranski.
Yes.
You're on our Facebook page. So go to our Facebook page and you can click on your link.
Yes.
And they can set up a time with you if they want to. Mm-hmm. It's and come in and just have a session if that's what they're interested in doing. So this is Mary Beth coming to you from AJ's Lodge and Oven on Lake Gogebic. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time at AJ's. But Juanita, just one last question, okay? If you really can see the future, what's our winter season going to look like?
Well, girlfriend, I've been here for some winters, but I feel like there's going to be a struggle, but not just for one, it's going to be for others. You just got to look for the positive into it and just keep moving forward.
Well, that's what we're going to try to do. Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to get ready. We're going to go over and rock the kitchen.
Oh,
Anybody else wants to find out what happened to two fat guys? Stop
Come on in, because it was a great time. As a matter of fact, she was closing when we showed up.
Right.
And them doors never closed.
No, we got home really late last night.
Yes. So that helped out too, in the long run.
Yes. So maybe we'll go out somewhere else tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you on episode 2.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay. So hang on.